Good morning. Today is October 12th, 2021. The Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee will be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Here.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin,
Here.
Alderman Narayan,
Here.
Alderwoman Evans,
Present.
Chairman Boyd.
Present.
Seven present, you have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes dated October 5th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin,
Aye.
Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
and Chairman Boyd.
Aye.
7 aye votes.
By your vote, you've approved the minutes and adopted the minutes for October 5th, 2021. We have several board bills for review today. Most of them are from committee members as sponsors. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the two of individuals who are not committee members. Board bill number 8 is Alderwoman Ingracia here.
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. So the first board bill up for discussion is Board Bill 112, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Appreciate your time on this today. As the chairman mentioned, I'm here on Board Bill 112. You may remember this past summer in July, I was very thankful you pulled together a meeting at the last minute before summer recess to approve a resolution. And so you are familiar with the Deli Star project that's contemplated in Board Bill 112 today. The prior resolution that your committee approved and then the full board did allowed for sales tax exemption for the Deli Star project on Shoto in St. Louis City. And they were able, thankfully, to start the project by acquiring some of the materials that they need. And now they are back, as was mentioned at the last hearing, for the additional pieces. So this board bill would authorize the issuance of the bonds needed for the project, and then an abatement on real and personal property taxes at the rate of 50% for the next 10 years. If you're not familiar with Deli Star, they are already in the St. Louis City area at the Foundry with their Food Discovery Center. They have a plant in Belleville as well, but their plant in Fayetteville was destroyed due to a catastrophic fire. And I believe the very beginning of 2021. So they've been purging money to the tune of millions of dollars until they're back here today. So they produce innovative deli meats and proteins. And this project would allow them to acquire, construct, and then provide improvements to 110,000 square foot facility located at 2929 Shoto. The cost of construction will be $17 million, and it's anticipated that will be $20 million for the equipment that they need. So the bonds will be issued at no more than $37 million for this project. Deli Star has a median average salary of about $65,000 right now, which will raise to $68 million at the end of 5 years. And they are bringing 325 jobs to the city of St. Louis, but it's anticipated within the next 5 years, we will have 475 employees working in the St. Louis City area. They also have a very robust and comprehensive management of their employees. They have extensive benefits packages and the ability to train through their university to move up in the company. So the other part of that, I think that's very exciting, is they've entered into a memorandum of understanding with the St. Louis City Public School System to allow students to attend their Deli University, and also to give priority to St. Louis City Public School applicants when and if students do apply. And they're going to be doing some additional work with the St. Louis City Public School Foundation. So that's a brief overview of why we're here today. Mr. Chair, I'm happy to take questions from the committee, but we also have, I believe, Neil Richardson from SLDC here, and Justin and Jennifer with Deli Star as well.
Okay, I do remember we had very good, extensive discussion about this before we went on break. Let me ask you, Alderwoman Nebraska, is there someone from the organization that just wants to speak, or you want them just be on standby for questions?
I think if people have questions, they will be happy to answer them, but they don't have anything necessarily formal planned.
Okay, so why don't we just go down the road? Alderwoman Davis, any questions or comments?
Only my comments. I think it's a great project, and I'm looking forward to it being here in the city. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Cone, are you present? Alderman Kotar.
No questions.
Okay, Alderwoman Pam Boyd,
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin,
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to say I know that I grilled you, Alderwoman Negracia, the last time at this the hearing on this, and after those discussions, I'm happy to be adding this revenue to the city and adding these jobs to the city. So thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Evans.
No questions.
Okay. Alderwoman Nebraska, I have one question. The address is 3049 Shoto, right?
I'm a little bit confused. I sent a message over to SLDC. It's my understanding the project is located at 2929 Shoto, but some of the documents that were sent over by, I guess, the bill's drafter list 3049 Shoto, and I don't think that's correct. So I did submit an inquiry on that earlier this morning.
Okay, is Neil with us, Neil Richardson?
Yeah, I think Zach, do you have that response back to Alderwoman Negracia? You're on mute, Zach.
I believe Mark Spikerman's on the Zoom. He produced the board bill, so he can answer that question. Mark, are you there?
Is Mark?
I'll track it down.
We'll confirm that, Chairman Boyd, and make sure that's rectified if it's necessary to be changed.
Well, I just want to make sure everything is right in the bill.
Excuse me, Chairman Boyd.
Yes.
I just added Mark as a panelist, so he should be able to talk now.
Okay.
Thank you,
Mark
Mrs. Rodney.
Spikerman, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you. Let me see if I can. Are you on video?
No, I'm not. I can turn my video on though.
Okay. Okay, so I need to swear you in, Mark. Just a moment. Good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Do you promise the testimony that you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell everybody who you are, who you represent, and if you don't mind taking this question.
Sure. My name is Mark Spikerman. I'm an attorney at Gilmore & Bell. We are outside counsel to SLDC on economic development matters. I prepared this bill. The answer to the inquiry is that both addresses are correct. This is a big building. It goes the entire block. Sometimes buildings of this size will use one mailing address and have a separate postal address.
Okay. So when I look up 2029, or even you're right, 3049, it comes back 3101 Shoto.
Right. It's the whole
Right.
block from 2900 to actually, I guess, 3100.
Okay, and that's where bill of lighting is. And
Yeah.
so we're doing tax abatement for a portion of the building or for the entire building?
For a portion of the building, we'll make sure that so Deli Star is going to lease half of it. Sort of administratively, the assessor's office will create a separate tax parcel with respect to the half that will be leased by Deli Star. and we'll start tracking assessed values separately there.
Okay, so within the board bill, where does it define those boundaries?
If you look in the plan, it references I believe it was 110,000 square foot to be leased by Deli Star. The actual documents, this bond issue will have leases involved in it. Those leases will specify the exact boundaries. Those leases cannot exceed that 110,000 square foot portion to be leased by Deli Star.
Okay, you said that is in which document?
There's a plan for industrial development attached to the board bill.
Actually, it's not. It must be so. I'm looking at the board bill. That's only 7 pages. Wait a minute. Maybe I can go down further. Hold up. I'm sorry. I see it now. So, issuance of sale of bond. I just wanted you to take me to that page. If you don't mind.
Sure. So, and just for background purposes, so Villa Lighting will still own the building.
Mm-hmm.
They will lease that spot to Deli Star. And the way these transactions work with the bond issue, we call them Chapter 100 transactions. Chapter 100 is the section of the Missouri statutes that permits this. The city will take title to the property that will be abated,
Mm-hmm.
and then lease it back to the company. So in this case, you've got a situation where the city will take title from Villa, lease it back to Villa, who will sublease it to Deli Star. And if you look at, if you've got the PDF open, page 13 to 27 at the bottom. Says the project consists of the acquisition, construction, and improvement of approximately 110,000 square foot manufacturing facility.
Page 13. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go down to on the document G, payment in lieu of taxes. Landlord would make payments in lieu of tax equal to. So the landlord would make payments in lieu of tax equal to 36,000 plus 50% of the ad valorem real estate taxes. That would otherwise be due for the city's ownership interest on any assessed value over 1.42 million. Okay. All righty. I am satisfied with my inquiry. Therefore, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill
112.
Thank you, 112.
I move that we adopt Board Bill 112 with a due pass recommendation.
Second, Alderman Cone.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Madam Clerk?
Is it clerk? Okay. Just making sure that wasn't my phone.
Madam Clerk, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I had to get something out the printer. I missed that.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that we pass Board Bill 112 out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin,
Aye.
Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Chairman Boyd.
Aye.
8 aye votes.
By your vote, Board Bill 112 has come out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
you're welcome. Next board bill before us is Board Bill 111, sponsored by Alderman Page.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the HUD's committee. It is my honor to bring before you today Board Bill 111. Just a little bit of background information. Board Bill 111 deals with the development of the Butler Brothers building, which is located at 1717 Olive Street. The building was originally constructed in 1906 and encompasses an entire city block or 2.1 acres. It has been undeveloped for over 20 years. I have passed the building personally the entire 20 years that I have lived in downtown St. Louis and seen the building standing in good condition but unoccupied. The building has a tremendous amount of history. Just to give you an idea, it was a warehouse and distribution center for the Ben Franklin 5 and Dime stores. Euphemistically, it was Amazon distribution center long before Amazon was ever thought of. Just to give you an idea of what is planned for this building, the developer plans to construct 385 apartment units in that building with 385 matching parking spaces on the lower level. 16,000 square feet of the building is scheduled to be retail/commercial. They're going to be studio, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments with studio and 1 bedroom units for $900 to $1,400 per month. This board bill 111 does include some tax incentives, but they are not by any means straight line. It's a graduated negotiated schedule that includes 5 years at 95%, 5 years at 75%, and an additional 5 years at 50%. Sales tax exemption for eligible construction materials is also requested. So that's kind of a highlight of the building. I might also add that the physical space this building occupies was the site of the very first World Chess Championship that was hosted in 1886. Just a little bit of an aside. I have a number of speakers that are scheduled to be here to speak in favor of this project. They include Gary Prosterman, the developer, Ethan Knight from his team, attorney Katie Jenner, and attorney Mark Spikerman. So with that overview, Mr. Chair, I will yield to questions for myself and any of the speakers. And the speakers can be asked to speak in turn. Thank you.
Sure. Let's go down to Alderwoman Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions. I've kind of followed this along, and it's very exciting to finally see a deal go through. We've been through probably 3 or 4 in the last 10 years. And so congratulations to Alderman Page, and thank you to the developers. That's it, sir.
Alderman Cone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious, what is the total value of the tax abatement?
I'm going to defer that to Mr. Spikerman. We have a fiscal note in the package, but I do not have that dollar value right in front of me.
Actually, Zach, do you have that?
Zach.
It's 8.1 million.
I'm sorry, you broke up in the beginning, Zach.
8.1 million present day value.
Okay, so that's the present day value of,
The incentive.
okay, all right. So, and then why are we doing this over a 15-year period versus a 10?
I will say that this, oh, go ahead, continue.
Just the size of the building. We spread it out over 15 years, a step down method. That was the rationale behind it. On smaller projects and the size of investment, we've done 10 years at 90 or 85, but this is a much larger project.
In addition to that, Alderman, if I may speak for a moment, if that's okay.
Is that Neil?
Yes, it is, Alderman Cohn.
Okay.
And I say in addition to that, we also agreed on having 96 units be contributed towards workforce housing, which is 20% of the units. And so as we move forward and having more inclusive and engaged negotiations with developers, we want to ensure that we have equity built into it. And we believe that having workforce housing units being made available to residents within this project and this development makes it more attainable for those additional 5 years. And so that was part of the negotiation process as we were discussing the adequate tax abatement for this. But as Zach said, we have a gradual step down on the abatement in addition to the workforce housing units being made available in order to make the deal work for the city.
Okay, and so are the workforce housing units being subsidized then through the incentive, or are we going to have additional monies from the Affordable Housing Commission?
No additional funding from the Affordable Housing Commission. This is all being really subsidized through the abatement. So no additional funding for that coming through part of the incentive negotiations.
Okay, so and part of the reason I'm asking the question is, to, I guess, convey the message that incentives, when they're being used to subsidize affordable housing, in order to make these projects work, sometimes the incentives have to be larger or for longer in order to essentially invest back into workforce housing or low mod income housing, depending upon the conversation that's taking place. And so thank you for the background. I appreciate it. I've actually, contrary to what the sponsoring alderperson mentioned earlier, I've been inside the building. It actually has hosted businesses in the last 20 years. I had a friend who had an art studio there and another friend that had a photography studio in the building. Within the last 20 years, I'm not quite that old, but it certainly has been very much largely vacant for a very, very long time. And it's a beautiful building, at least from the outside. And, it does take up an entire city block. So it'll be nice to see it rehabbed and put back into good use for our citizens. Thank you.
If I might add, yes, there have been small businesses in the building over time, not to make light of the fact that it's also been used for drone racing. If you've ever been inside the building and looked down on the floors, you'll see leftover propellers every now and then. It has had small business usage on rare occasions over the years, but nowhere near anything that would occupy the full 718,000 square feet of the building.
Oh, for sure. It's largely remained vacant, no doubt about that.
Were you done, Alderman Cone?
Yeah, I have no further questions or comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Alderman Coder.
No questions. Very excited about this big project in downtown West.
Alderman Pam Boyd.
No questions. They've all been asked and answered.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin.
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Ryan.
I think Alderman Cone asked most of my questions. Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Evans.
No questions at this time. Just glad to see development going on downtown. I used to frequent downtown as a youngster, and just glad to see any type of development that's taking place.
Okay. I have a question. So Zach, in the summary, it says 95% for the first 5 years. Is that supposed to be correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if you go to page 8 of the board bill and go down to line 21, or actually line 20, it says for years 1 through 5 of the Chapter 353 tax abatement, 100% of the ad valorem taxes would be imposed.
Give me 1 second. What page number are you on?
Page 8 of 10.
8 of 10. Okay, but go down to line 7.
On page
I
9.
believe. Yeah, I believe so. Give me 1 second.
Oh, I see line 3,
Yeah.
it talks about 5%.
Right. That's where we start getting to the percentages being deducted.
So,
And line 7 is where we go to 95%. Line 10 is 75, and line 12 is 50%.
we must be looking at, are we on board bill 111? We're on board bill 111, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
So on page 8, no, I don't understand, why wouldn't it just say tax abatement 95%? But it says 100. And then as we go down to page 9, it talks about plus 5% of the difference between the ad valorem real estate taxes.
Yeah, that's the way the board bills, the law is written. So you have to reverse it. So it says
Okay.
5%. So that's the 95%. And as we go down, it says 25%, but that's the 75% we're speaking of.
Okay. Got
Okay.
I've never paid it. I've never saw it that way before. It normally was very clear, but it's the reverse.
Yeah.
So because I was going to ask you about the 25%, I was like, well, that doesn't make sense either. So okay.
Now,
So
that's
all
why
these
I
creative
tried to
ways. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I
Okay,
tried
so
to sum it up on the first page on line 5.
Okay. All righty. Neil, would you explain what workforce housing is again? What?
Yes. So workforce housing is defined. So anything above 80% of AMI, so 80 to 120% AMI is what workforce housing is considered. So we agreed, and again, it's not placed in the board bill because this will be placed and negotiated and executed within the redevelopment agreement itself with the developer. So 48 of the units will be at 80% AMI. And then the other 48 units will be at 100%, 120% AMI and below. And again, that's how ULI in the industry defines workforce housing. Anything below 80% is considered low to moderate income, so low income housing. So as you traditionally see when we talk about low income housing tax credits, it's typically 60% AMI or below. So workforce housing is 80% AMI through 120% AMI. We really believe for this project that really provides some opportunity to attract residents to this neighborhood that not only can create accessible housing for individuals around workforce, but also can have contributions to the economy, the retail space, and other office space around the project itself as we continue to develop mixed income, mixed use neighborhoods.
And how many units total would be?
So 96 units total will be workforce housing.
Right, I'm sorry, the whole building, how many?
So it's 48, so we have
385 total.
385 total. So it's about 20% of the houses or at workforce housing rate.
Okay. Now, generally, don't we pass the board bill with the redevelopment agreement attached?
No, we do not.
No,
Tax abatement.
Not with tax abatement. Okay, that's only with TIFs.
Right, correct.
Okay. All righty.
But
So Neil, let me ask you this. If for some reason the developer keeps looking at the numbers, something comes up, the economy goes haywire, and they can't make the 96 work anymore.
Well, the
then
tax
it's up,
abatement,
then
that's
it's-
part of the, I'm sorry, go ahead, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
then it's up to you guys to negotiate whether that makes sense or not. You don't have to come back to redo the tax abatement years unless you wanted to, I guess, based on the negotiations of the redevelopment agreement.
Yeah, that is correct. However, through the redevelopment agreement, it is the tax incentives are contingent upon them actually having them being able to meet those 96 units, and that's part of the redevelopment agreement itself. So we have the ability to withhold that tax abatement and enforce the full tax levy on them. So that is part of that agreement, similar to what we have for other requirements for them to receive the incentive, such as WMBE requirements and others as well. So we are responsible for enforcing that and reviewing that, and we are coordinating with the developer on ensuring that we have tax rent rolls and other efforts as well, and reporting as well.
Okay, Alderman Page.
Yes.
Who's speaking on behalf of the developer or the owner?
In my speakers list, I have the following people. I'm on a small screen device, so I have not scrolled back and forth. It's Mr. Gary Prosterman. He is the managing partner of the development company. Member of his team, Ethan Knight. Katie Jenner, who's with Hush Blackwell, the legal team, and the aforementioned Mr. Mark Spikerman.
Okay. Mr. Gary Prosterman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to ask you some questions, so I need to
Sure.
swear in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the rents would look like from the rents of the 96 workforce housing compared to market rate rents? What it 1 bedroom, 3 bedroom? I didn't hear that piece of the design.
Sure. So one part in Neil's description that most of us follow in defining workforce housing, and these are definitions really created by the Urban Land Institute, ULI, is generally the guideline is that for rent, a range of 28 to 32% of that AMI income would be allocated to rent or a house payment. In our case, we've agreed with Neil and his team that we would just peg it at that 30%. So using the current AMI statistics and using that 30%, the workforce housing units would be in the range of $1,100 to $1,200 per month for a single person, and would be in the range of for a $1,400 a month for a couple, versus the rents, say that without any constraints, will range probably $250 to $500 more per month than that on similar units.
Is that just one bedroom example?
Well, one or two. What I can tell you is that our rents will generally range from $1,100 per month to $2,300 per month. The one bedroom units will be in the $1,100 to $1,600 per month range. And the two bedroom units would be in the $1,500 to $2,400 per month range.
And they're all one
pure market rate.
Are most of them one, two? Do you have any three?
We are primarily ones and twos. There may be a few threes, but it's almost all ones and twos. What I can tell you is that, you know, our effort here is to create, I'll call it, you know, choice housing, housing by choice, living downtown by choice. We're really trying to target the young, upwardly mobile professional, the young, upwardly mobile, combining with the young, upwardly mobile, we'll call it, you know, frontline worker, whether it's a teacher, policeman, EMT, nurse, et cetera. We've done this successfully in other markets where, again, the idea is it's housing by choice, that it's a very attractive and appealing place to live. It will be heavily amenitized because this is such a massive building. We have a lot of opportunity to create things like an oversized fitness center, activities on the rooftop, and so forth. So, you know, with, you know, what attracted us, as I've shared with others, to St. Louis, frankly, are the things that St. Louis has done very well from an outsider's perspective, really relates to your ability to attract and grow things like financial tech and things like ag tech and things like biotech and things like your NGA. And you know, many of those are located in or near this location. So we think that, combined even with the proximity to, again, the healthcare workers, the policemen, frontline workers as well, makes it attractive to that, I'll call it, leaning toward a more younger demographic, but across economic spectrum.
Since we have the MLS stadium coming, we have Cardinals, we have Blues. Out of curiosity, have you identified any of your units as Airbnb?
No, we do not like to. We will do not want to do that. It's not a good, in our opinion, it's not good for the long-term tenants because of security issues, noise issues, et cetera. When we have seen that done where it can work, would not be an Airbnb, but it would be something where you dedicate, you know, half a floor or one floor, and it's managed in a separate way. We do not plan to do that. To your point, you know, if the economy tanked and we had to find ways to generate revenue, is it possible we would pivot to some short-term rentals such as that? I think that is not part of our plan, but I certainly couldn't rule that out if we had to go in that direction. But we would have to be really in not doing well, because we do not think that's a good approach for the long term.
Yeah, my understanding, this building has been a challenge, and it's a very risky, opportunity on your part. So I certainly applaud you for being willing to invest in St. Louis, and specifically that particular building. I am curious, though, when it comes to workforce housing, how someone who would be at 80% or 120% AMI could afford $1,100 a month for a 1-bedroom. To me, that's astonishing. In my neighborhood, a 2-bedroom house, affordable would probably be $650. That's for a house.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the $1,100 being affordable.
Yeah, well, and someone can check these numbers because I don't have my notes in front of me, but I believe the AMI for a single person, the most recent report was in the range of $48,000, $49,000. And so if you take 30% of that and divide that 30% by 12, that is, and then take 80, that's your number.
Zach, can you confirm that? That sounds awful high to me.
It's correct.
$40-some thousand at 80%. Wow. Okay.
What I will tell you, Alderman Boyd, again, when we look at, and you are correct, we are taking this is a massive project. It's we really are, I would say, fans of what has been accomplished. One of the statistics that we came upon that maybe St. Louis could do a better job as its own cheerleader is the starting salaries in St. Louis for college graduates is in the top 5 in the United States. And that's in competition with, obviously Silicon Valley, Austin, Texas, Nashville, Charlotte, all the it cities, if you will. And my take on that is that the reason you've been able to achieve that, again, goes back to, and I applaud the efforts from 15 years ago of the Danforth study and things like that, efforts to say we are going to focus in things like ag tech, financial tech, and biotech, because when you're bringing in these young engineers and these young, bioscientists and so forth, those are the salaries that are required, and that has lifted up the median income in the area.
Okay, very exciting project.
Well, thank you. We really much appreciate the support of the aldermen and the alderwomen, and really look forward to being able to execute. It's a long, difficult process, and but we look forward to seeing it open in a couple of years.
Okay, Alderman Page, I'm going to go back to you to close, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the HUD's committee. After this in-depth discussion, I sincerely invite your favorable support of Board Bill 111 in the form of a do-pass recommendation.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 111.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so let's back up. Alderwoman Davis, what is the motion?
The motion is to approve Board Bill 111 with a do-pass recommendation.
Okay, so it's been moved and second by who?
Alderwoman Boyd or me.
Alderwoman, okay. So it's been probably moved to second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin,
Aye.
Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Chairman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderman Coder. 8 aye votes.
Aye, sorry about that.
No problem. That is 9 aye votes.
Okay, by your vote, you have passed Board Bill 111 out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Okay, next board bill, let's see here. I have several bills. Alderwoman Davis. Okay, we're gonna, Board Bill 93. Board Bill 93 is before us, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis.
Oh, there I am. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Board Bill 93, I am going to allow the staff of SLDC, I think Zach is on this board bill, to please explain it for me.
Okay, actually, that's a planning and zoning bill.
So is the zoning?
Yeah, you
I
want to
can't
go,
see it.
you want us to go to 105?
I would prefer we go to 105.
Okay, Board Bill 105 is now before the committee, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you very much. Board Bill 105 is a development at 3601 to 09 Lindell, is the former Jesuit Hall building. The developer is Neighborhood Properties LLC. The acquisition cost is $6.7 million. There's a phase 1 and a phase 2, and I'm going to allow Zach to explain the phases and the incentives that are involved. Thank you.
On phase 1, it is renovating the existing building where the Jesuit Hall is currently located. The Jesuit priests are moving onto the SLU's campus that is under construction currently. Once they are completely moved out, renovation will start on the existing building. But there'll be 130 apartments with commercial space on the first floor, and they'll be building a small garage to the west of the building with 132 parking spaces. That'll be done, estimated price of $39 million. That tax abatement will be 10 years at 95%. Now, phase 2 will be a construction of an apartment building on top of a garage. That will have 187 units of apartments and 190 parking spaces. The development cost for that will be $56 million. It will be 10-year tax abatement, but 5 years at 75, followed by 5 years at 50%.
Okay.
And I think we have.
Go right
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
Zach.
Alderwoman.
No,
I
go
think we
right
have
ahead.
Adolphus Pruitt on the phone to answer any questions for the developer.
Okay, and before we get to Mr. Pruitt, I just wanted to add a couple of things very quickly. Both of these projects, phase 1 and phase 2, on the scoring of the projects, they both got 5 out of 5. I wanted to also thank the SLDC staff. Mr. Richardson and his staff took time to work on this project, to realign it in a better way, and I wanted to thank them for that. Mr. Chairman, I think that we're okay with asking questions, and as stated, Adolphus Pruitt is a consultant on the project for the developer Neighborhood Properties, and I can answer any questions that might be there along with Zach. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's start with Alderman Cone. Alderman Cone. Okay, Alderman Kotor.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. I'm generally familiar with this project. I know it's been in front of us before. Sounds like it's slightly reworked. Looking forward to seeing this come to fruition. I used to spend time in Jesuit Hall back in undergraduate. They had much better food than the regular dining hall. You could get an invite from one of the priests. Thanks.
You've always seemed to enjoy all the privileges, Alderman Kotor. Just happen to be in the
Chairman
right
Boyd.
place at the right time. Okay,
Chairman Boyd, my phone, I had to unlock my phone. It locked up on me.
okay, I can come back to you.
Okay. Just
You're up,
FYI.
Alderman Cone.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure that, like, you know, I've had conversations, I know, with SLDC in the past about this, and the owners and some of the other properties that they own around the city. Are those being addressed, or what is going on?
Okay, who's this question to?
I would imagine either Neil or Zach. They're both familiar with my concerns.
And we have had direct conversations with the consultant and as well as the developer on this project and some of those concerns. And we have requested pictures and additional follow-up from the developer before we even move this forward, Alderman Cone. So I'm happy to continue to monitor and address those questions and concerns as we move forward. But I agree with you, making sure that the developers on this deal and also moving forward understand that we need not just the projects that they're investing to now, but the other properties that they own to be maintained in a responsible manner also. So we have requested pictures and done follow-up as well on some of those projects, but definitely willing to have further conversation about it as we move forward.
Okay, I mean, part of the reason I'm asking is, you know, I believe I voted no on this in the past, and, you know, I would like to be able to share. I mean, the concern I have is I have constituents that call me regularly about a property that they own that's a pretty prominent property on South Grand, you know, about 3-4 miles down Grand from this particular development. And, you know, my neighbors are very upset about the condition, as you're aware, with that particular property. And I'd like to be supportive of you know, these types of projects, but, you know, also need to make sure that, you know, my constituents are having their voices heard.
Definitely understood. And I know if we can always welcome Adolphus Pruitt and the developer to speak to some of these concerns as well.
Is there an agreement in place?
Yeah, so we still need to execute the redevelopment agreement. As part of that redevelopment agreement is to ensure that the other properties that they own and maintain are fully managed as well. And that's part of the reason and rationale behind the request for additional pictures and review of those developments.
If you don't mind, I'd like to add to that. I have also supported this review process, as I have shared with the developer, and I've shared with you, Alderman Cohen, because all parts of our city must be taken care of properly. And I drive over there frequently because I have a friend who invested in some property not far from there, and it's been vandalized 5 times, set on fire last month, and it's just a lot of things going on. But there's no reason why you can't maintain it properly and also move forward on your stated goals. So I do support that. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to be clear, though, with respect to the redevelopment agreement for Jesuit Hall, are you saying that you're not going to execute that until, you know, and I remember this coming up at the Planning Commission as well, you know, a while back, and having some of these conversations, you know, with the sponsor and with others at that point in time. And also had some of my colleagues shared their concerns and frustrations with, you know, other properties that this developer owns in their ward as well. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear, you know, as we're moving forward with this. Are you saying, Neil, that you would not execute on the redevelopment plan if they don't make substantial, you know, either improvements or sell properties, or, you know, I mean, where are we? I just want to make sure that I'm clear with my understanding here.
Yeah. So part of the agreement is to ensure that their properties are in good order. They're not being a nuisance to the neighborhood, and part of that review process. So I can assure you that we will review and ensure that they don't own any nuisance properties before we execute on this redevelopment agreement itself, Alderman Cone.
Okay, so, but that goes back to my concern, because the property that they own in my ward is not currently occupied. It's a, you know, 4 or 5 story building on South Grand that had the entire rear wall collapse into the alleyway, where we had to close the alleyway because of all of the debris, and my neighbors on that entire block weren't able to use the alleyway for a portion of it, at least, because it had to be closed because of the public safety concern with respect to the building that they own. And so it wouldn't technically be a nuisance property because there's no one occupying it, so it wouldn't be deemed a nuisance under.
That can still be a nuisance to the neighborhood.
Okay. All right. So I mean, as long as we're clear about that, I appreciate the efforts that have been taken in the months since we've discussed it to come around to this place. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, next up is Alderman Pam Boyd.
I'm listening right now. I don't have questions. I'm trying to dissect all the information. So thank you.
Okay, next up is Alderman Muhammad.
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Alderwoman Martin.
Yes, I guess and I know we have a lot of new people in this room and on this discussion and involved in this. But I echo, I guess, a little bit of frustration, because it does seem like some projects in some of our wards in some very, what we consider blighted areas are maybe not getting some of the same opportunities. So I don't hold one project against another, but just echoing some of Alderman Cone's concerns, and also just making sure that we are operating off of a level playing field when it comes to sticking to the plan that this city has set forth on how we base these incentives. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Narayan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it's been a few years since I've been over in that area regularly. I went to school right over there. Could anyone explain to me what the blight is? How there was a finding of blight there? Because when I was walking by that building pretty regularly, it's not what I would call blighted.
It's not the building. It's based on all the economics that are involved in a particular census tract area.
So I understand that, but if we're giving away this type of money for something, I guess ultimately I'm just echoing the concerns of some of my colleagues that this just doesn't seem like a blighted building to me. But with that, I'll yield. Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Evans.
No questions at this time.
Okay, is Mr. Pruitt with us? Oh, he's maybe having some.
He's having some technical difficulties.
Okay, how about Mr. Cepeda? He signed up.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Where are you? I can't see you.
Hello?
Do you have video, Mr. Cepeda?
I'm sorry, I'm on a small device and I can't get the video to work. So
Okay. Well, can you share with us the difference between the scope of work previously when we voted this project out and today? Taylor, he signed up.
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So we have added some community benefits and agreed to do some improvements in the neighborhood and do some other, basically add some projects that we're doing in North City, and that's basically the only thing that the scope of work. The scope of work has remained the same. It's just the benefit to the neighborhood basically is the only thing that's changed, and that's what was when we were speaking with SLDC and what their concerns were and all that. So we came to an agreement on additional benefits to the community basically.
Okay. So there's going to be two buildings. There's a phase 1 and phase 2. I think I got lost in the phase 2. There's a new building that's going to be built. Is that correct?
That's correct. There'll be a new building where the adjacent parking lot is.
Is that
So
just
the corner of Olive and Grant?
The corner of Olive and Grant.
Mm-hmm. Right in front of the Boys and Girls Club. In that corner.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. It's on the other street. Okay. Well, I don't have any more questions. I'll go to the Alderwoman to close. Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you very much. I want to give some level of assurance because as we move forward with all the various projects that are going on in the city of St. Louis, we have finally attracted a number of people who are interested in investing, mainly because of our job market and how it is escalating in fields that are bringing more people to the city of St. Louis. In this particular instance, for the concern of the buildings in other areas, Director Richardson, I am available along with any concerns that Alderman Cone has and any other alderperson to sit down and help rectify some of those. As you all know, I can be very creative. I can also help monitor some of these things because I don't want to feel anybody to feel as though they're being neglected. I don't think that there's a reason for that. So let me be supportive in any way possible. Sometimes what is right before us, what we should do, we just don't see it. And so we can all consult on this. But this is a good project. It is going to have the opportunity to not only bring a lot of revenue to the city coffers for the near future, but one of the things that we have to find ourselves with is more opportunity. And I'm not sure if the process has not been appropriately addressed to maybe look at a new intent for the properties that we have in question in other areas. So again, I offer my support. I have my concern there, and I do ask for this project to be passed for Bill 105 with a do pass recommendation. Thank you very much.
Okay. So is that your official motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's been moved that Board Bill 105 pass out of committee with do pass recommendation.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order.
Alderman Cone, state your point of order.
I've had my hand raised, Mr. Chair, before the motion was made.
Okay, I went to the Alderwoman to close. Did you have your hand raised before she was closing?
I believe so.
Oh, go ahead, Alderman Cone.
So I reached out to SLDC to just confirm with them about the CBA that is being reintroduced. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, because I do think that that would influence and affect how I am going to end up voting on this. But the CBA is apparently new for the reintroduction of this agreement, and it deals with those nuisance properties that we were talking about earlier. So Mr. Cepeda was saying that it's for the neighborhood itself, but SLDC clarified for me that it's actually, in fact, to help address some of those other nuisance properties that we were discussing earlier. So that certainly makes me feel a lot more comfortable, with the direction of this. And since the sponsor did just make that commitment as well, I want to thank her as well for being watchful about that as well, and being willing to work with us on those. Thank you.
Okay. And I would say that Mr. Cepeda did mention something about taking care of some properties outside of that area. Then he later ended with the community. I did pick that up on his testimony that he was committed to that. So we have a motion to pass Board Bill 105 out of committee with a due pass recommendation. We have a second by Alderman Muhammad, I believe. Any objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board
We
Bill
can't
105.
do, excuse me, Alderman Muhammad was not here.
I
Well,
do
we
believe-
voted before.
Yes, I was.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
we
I
had-
was Alderwoman. I voted on the last two board bills.
Oh, okay, because I was like, I don't remember. Okay.
All right. So having no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 105 comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Okay.
Thank
Alderman
you.
Davis, I was going to take both of your bills, but your bill is a planning and zoning bill along with 2 or 3 of mine. So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, take Alderman Muhammad's bill next, so that the SLDC staff can go back to making all that great money that they make.
Did you want to do the public hearing discussion?
We'll do that that would be on 110, right?
Yes, sir.
We'll do that when we get down on the agenda to committee discussions.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so what's going to be before us right now is Board Bill 99, sponsored by Alderman Muhammad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Board Bill 99 is simple in its formation. Board Bill 99 authorizes a redevelopment plan for a portion of the College Hill neighborhood in North St. Louis. Of course, College Hill was split between 3 different wards. Mine and my colleagues from the 3rd and 2nd ward. My portion of College Hill is basically vacant. It has a vacancy of 66%. And we have no business owners in this section of College Hill whatsoever. Ironically, I'm actually standing out on College Hill right now, or walking down the strip of College Hill right next to O'Fallon Park. And what we're trying to do is build it up, bring business owners back to this neighborhood, and we're trying to bring homeowners and keep the homeowners that we currently have. I've done these type of board bills in the past, and I've seen great return from them, whether it was on Redbud, on 3 different streets, or on Natural Bridge. We've seen some reinvestment after introducing redevelopment plans for them. And that's exactly my intentions with this board bill here. With that, Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions. I can entertain any questions from the committee if there are any, but I would ask for the committee's favorable recommendation.
Okay, before that, why don't we just go ahead and have Zach give us all the technicals about this redevelopment plan. Zach, you want to just speak to the specificities of the plan?
This one's a little bit different than most other ones. We were kind of going through a transition here at SLDC, so we did not produce this plan right up front. The Alderman was very supportive of the area, so he has created this board bill as a blighting study, and which will enforce us to look at the area, come up with a resolution with LCRA to support the blighting study, and also come up with a redevelopment plan to send back to you that will allow tax abatement and other types of incentives for that area. So this is a little bit different of approach we've used in the past because it's coming from the alderman directly and not from LCRA. But we'll be happy to support it later down the road once it comes back to us. The boundaries are West Florissant and DeSoto and East Warren, just basically east of O'Fallon Park and then 21st Ward. So it's just blighting.
So when you say it's just blighting, it's not authorizing any tax abatement?
No, not at this time. The tax abatement will come back to you guys at a later point.
Now, explain that again. Why are we doing this if we're not, I've never heard that being done before. I mean, we've done Chapter 99s over a whole neighborhood or certain geographies, and it included tax abatement at that time, which gave an opportunity for a developer to know what they're up against if they went in to redevelop property. So
correct.
This is a new twist.
It is a new twist, but in state law, there's two different ways to approach this. And we usually approach it with LCRA produces a plan and a blighting study at the same time. And we pass it, we pass the LCRA's level and then send it over to you guys. This is the other option where the alderman is very sincere and supportive of being blighted. So he's blighting this area, then this goes back to us to come up with a redevelopment plan. And then that's the approach this is.
And so how many years is being recommended for tax abatement?
Well, nothing is being recommended.
Because it's just blighting. It's just, my bad. I'm sorry.
Just blighting. But for that area, it's the maximum. It can get up to 25 years. What we've seen on our tax abatement map.
Okay. Let me go around and ask the committee if they have any questions about this new initiative. Alderwoman Davis.
I guess I'm a little confused, but I'm gonna allow the alderperson to handle his business the way he wants to. But the area is I thought the area was already blighted according to our blighting study for the city of St. Louis.
Well, it is not currently.
It is not?
No, ma'am.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then he definitely needs it. Thank you.
Alderman Cone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions. I applaud the alderman from the 21st being proactive and engaging in this process. It doesn't always yield fruit, but as long as it can some discussion.
I'm sorry. Jesus.
As long as it can initiate some discussion, those will hopefully plant some seeds for growth. But it definitely is an area of the city that is very much in need of some attention and love. So, thank you for your efforts.
Thank you for muting me. I'm sorry. Anyway. Let's see here. Alderman Kotar.
No questions, Chairman.
Alderman Pam Boyd.
I just have for the sponsor, how many homeowners, because I know you said that it's really not a lot, but how many, I'm familiar with that area. How many homeowners are in that area as of now? Because I remember when it was vital. And so I was just wondering how many are still left. That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, absolutely. Great question, Alderwoman. So far in my section of College Hill, under this blighting study in this hopeful redevelopment plan, I have 176 homeowners. I have 176 properties. I'm sorry, 176 properties that's currently paid for in taxes. That's not behind taxes so far within this area. Again, the vacancy is right at 65%. College Hill, which also contributed to a large part of my ward's population decline from 2010 up until now, which contributed almost 1,100 people. 1,100 out the entire 2,300 population, which I did lose. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and so I guess my question, and I'm thinking for some communities that I have, when you talk to those people, is it something that you're looking as incentive to help them to want to continue to stay, even though you're starting to look at the development? Because a lot of times people get discouraged and they don't want to stay because they feel nothing happening. So, you know, have you talked to them to try to incentives can be worked as far as a plan, you know, just a planning, that's all, just a question.
Absolutely. This entire ordeal I've been working on for almost about 1.5 years now. And community engagement was a big piece, a part of that, in dealing with community groups and block units and just community stakeholders who have invested in this community as much as they can. But that investment just simply has not been enough to keep the population stable or to keep families in their homes. So community engagement has been essential throughout this entire ordeal and process. But I think the number one incentive in keeping homeowners in their home, I first have to have them. And unfortunately, in this section of College Hill that I have the honor of representing, I don't have homeowners. I have, people own property, but I don't have homeowners. And that's a big reason why I reached out to SLDC to start this process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Martin. Should step away, group. Alderman Narayan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess I'm supportive of this. I just have one question, just as I'm thinking through it, that I'm hoping someone may be able to answer. And like I said, I'm supportive of this. Has there been any discussion as to what this would do to the existing value of the homes that are there?
It does not affect the value of the homes. Actually, in the future, the homeowners could apply for tax abatement once we pass the redevelopment plan down the road. The existing homeowners in the area.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just glad to see that Alderman Muhammad is doing development in an area that's widely needed. I too am familiar with that area and just want to commend him on doing the development in that area. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman Muhammad. Okay, so Alderman Muhammad, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am, Mr. Chairman.
I can't see you.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman. If you can give me a moment, I am here. I can ask you a question if you have one, please.
Okay. So this is unique. I don't think we've ever done this before. It's not a bad idea at all. I'm just curious as to why wouldn't you want to just do this one time instead of doing it in two pieces as far as the tax abatement, blighting study plus redevelopment plan, all including the tax abatement. What's neat about doing it this way versus the traditional way?
Well, with all the changes that recently happened at SLDC, I had to be a little bit more creative in trying to spur development in my ward and get some help from SLDC to do that. Again, I've done this before on Natural Bridge, and it was actually the first piece of legislation I introduced was this exact same legislation on Natural Bridge. And when I did that in 2017, 3 years later, we invested almost $3 million into Natural Bridge in 3 different ways by rebuilding businesses, bringing business owners back, and with other incentives as well. So I have some success in doing it this way. I think it's the best way to do it, especially with the new changes that has currently happened in SLDC, in the new way that we are looking at re-incentivizing development for struggling neighborhoods.
Now, I remember that chapter 99, but I believe it included a redevelopment plan at that time, and we didn't have to come back and do another board bill to amend it, or matter of fact, I'm not even sure how this works now. We didn't do an additional board bill. We passed it with tax abatement being granted, didn't we?
Yes, we did, Alderman.
Okay, so this is not just like the one you just did on Natural Bridge, is my point.
But it's pretty similar. I think if we want to look at every little difference in a board building, we can. But other than that, on its surface, it is the exact same piece of legislation that I introduced once before. Now, again, this one is a little different, which I acknowledge. And again, I acknowledge that because we have had a lot of changes in SLDC, and the way that we are looking at development has changed, especially in neighborhoods that I represent. That's why our legislation is introduced in this form and in this format.
Okay, so exact same and a little different is an oxymoron, right?
To you?
It can't be exact same, but a little bit different. So I'm just trying to be clear. I'm for this. I will vote for this. I'm just trying to be clear because this has never happened before. And I won't be clear with that unless somebody can correct me, like Zach, who's been at SLDC longer than I have. Zach, have we ever done it this way? Is question one. Question two is, how do we come back and do an amendment to the ordinance that would be created, or do we just create a whole separate board bill?
No, it's a separate board bill that will come back with you for a plan, just allowing for tax abatement.
Okay, so the separate board. Go ahead.
Correct. Well, I've only been here 7 years, Alderman, so I haven't been, but we haven't done this way before, but this is how the law is set up. It can easily be done, so.
Okay, it just seems like you've been here longer than me because you're much smarter than I am when it comes to this stuff. I guess what it is. Okay.
I think I am.
Hey, okay. This is what the alderman wants. This is what the alderman shall get. I'm just trying to learn something. This is just totally new to me. So, Alderman, you want to go ahead and close on your bill?
Mr. Chair, I have my hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to get better at that, Alderman Cone. Thank you.
Just want to make sure I do it before there's a close.
Thank you for that.
Here. Hey, I just want to make sure, excuse me, to chime in. This is, I'm pretty sure we have done this in the past. I might have done it myself when I first came down here. But you know, essentially we're just adding another tool to the toolbox. There's no development, there's no developer, you know, it's just initiating that blighting study. And then we'll be coming back if there is a development with a future board bill to discuss any type of tax incentives or abatements or what have you. So, I mean, this is just, it's a very much more proactive way for, you know, the alderperson, if they choose to do so, to get SLDC to initiate the blighting study in order to qualify for the chapter, oh my gosh, for the tax abatement and incentives that would qualify underneath the statutes. And so I just, I think we may have actually done this before in the past, but it's certainly not our typical way of going about doing it. But, you know, it helps to always have those tools in the toolbox when we need them.
Okay, so now you make my eyebrows rouse. I don't know why SLDC would not want to do a blighting study and redevelopment plan if an alderman asked. Neil, maybe you can help me understand why you wouldn't just do it.
Yeah, I think we would. I think the question here is making sure that we have clear understanding of aldermanic support, which we do have. But then also, as we're being proactive, it's not just saying we're blighting it just for the sake of blighting it. We're blighting it with also a clear redevelopment plan in place And so as Alderman Muhammad and I will have a deeper conversation of exactly what his plans are for that community, for that development, for that neighborhood, we can be more strategic around how we request the right level of incentive for this neighborhood, as well as thinking through how we market these areas and not just creating a Chapter 99 or a redevelopment plan just for the sake of saying we created it, but what is the plan and strategy for actually attracting developers to these neighborhoods, whether it's being strategic about commercial corridors, residential space, how does this impact the current residents that live in that neighborhood before actually going through the entire process. So we'll have full information when we come back before the committee and before the board to say, this is the plan, this is why it's blighted, and this is how we are going to move forward with it to create the development that works for the community. And so that's really the time that I haven't had the opportunity to spend with Alderman Muhammad to discuss this in greater depth. And I look forward to doing so with my staff at SLDC and being very strategic around the level of incentive that's needed and also how we're going to attract developers to an area that has vacancy of 66% and has declined population. So that's really the rationale that I see today of us bringing notice to this and then us moving forward with the more strategic redevelopment plan after we've reviewed it with our LCRA board and putting forth a more strategic communication to this committee.
Okay, Neil. So out of fairness to the alderman from the 21st Ward, because I don't like this. I'm not sure I support what you just said, because obviously I guess we can do it either way. But if I want to do a Chapter 99 and I want to cover a specific neighborhood in my ward, it's going to be my expectation. It will be blighted with 25 years tax abatement. Okay. I don't need to tell you all the nuts and bolts of what business will be opened and what house will be rehabilitated, because if I open it up with a Chapter 99 with 25 years tax abatement, I'm just making this scenario up, then developers should have an appetite for wanting to go to that neighborhood and help us even more, because they don't have to worry about, well, if I'm on this street, I can get 15 years tax abatement, but if I'm on 2 blocks over, I get 10 years tax abatement. That's not what we're trying to do. If you look at the map that was done as far as the amount of tax abatement that could be given in certain neighborhoods across the city, I am quite sure the 21st Ward will be open for 25 years tax abatement. And we've done tax abatement, I believe, when he talked about his bill on Natural Bridge, I think it might have 20. And when we did that, we didn't have a detailed redevelopment plan. We just opened up the conversation to have with developers so that they already know what incentive that they have. Now, what it sounds like to me is there's resistance from SLDC to support the alderman and just give them that blanket tax abatement. And so he's doing this, and then you'll come back later after you negotiate with him about his own ward, which he knows much better than SLDC. And I don't think that's right.
I think it's just for us to have a conversation with Alderman Muhammad about moving it forward. I'm in full support of it. I agree with you. Again, as we're coming into this, again, as Alderman Muhammad stated, having this transition process, I'm in full support of him having this. I think it's just for me to understand in SLDC the full level of abatement and moving it forward in that way. I understand what you're saying, Chairman Boyd.
But when you say the full realm of abatement, what that means to me is there are certain portions of this neighborhood that you might consider 10 years, and then there's another portion, maybe 15. And so there's this cafeteria plan as far as the level of incentives. That's what I'm hearing. If that's not what you're saying, then just make me understand it better.
No, it's not. That's not. I just want to have a clear understanding of what's the overall plan for the neighborhood and the vision. I'm comfortable with having a blanket 25-year once we have that discussion. I haven't had that opportunity to have that full discussion with Alderman Muhammad at this point.
Okay. This sounds like something else going on behind the scenes, and I'm not going to get all involved with it, but this is just not traditional. So if Alderman Muhammad wants it this way, then you guys can have these subsequent conversations, go right ahead. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna be interested in doing it that way. I just want a one step and be done with it. So anyway, Alderman Muhammad, anybody else? Shane Cone, you had your hand up earlier, took it down. I want to make sure I don't miss you a second time.
It didn't come down after I was called on the last time, but thank you for double checking.
Okay, Alderman Muhammad, you recognize to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, this is not ideal for me either to do it this way. And I want to show my appreciation to SLDC, mainly Zach Wilson, for helping me put it together this way and find a creative way that we can do this for bringing the census to my neighborhood. But again, this is not ideal. And I have done it before, but this was not my intention with this particular piece of legislation. However, here we are. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would ask for the committee's recommendation. And as a member of the committee, I would move that we pass out Board Bill 99.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 21st to pass Board Bill 99 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been second. Any objection to previous roll?
I guess I'll object, Chairman, based on your comments.
Okay. So Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Chairman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin. 8 aye votes.
By your vote, you passed Board Bill 99 out of committee with a due pass recommendation. I'm going to back up to Board Bill 2. I think Board Bill 111. We had a Mr. Connolly signed up on Board Bill 112. And I think that's 112. Maybe it's 111. Being in person is so much better. Let's see here. I'm trying to find Mr. Connolly. I know he signed up on a bill. Here we go, page 3. So then page 2. So, I didn't get to that. Okay, Mr. Connolly looks like he's on Board Bill 93. So I'm not going to back up. Okay. Bear with me. All these papers all over the place and zooming and using the computer and trying to keep track. Okay, so next we're going to go to some zoning bills. It's got 90, 91, and 93. We'll go ahead and take Alderwoman Davis's bill first. Alderwoman Davis, you're recognized on Board Bill 93.
Mr. Chairman, on Board Bill 93 is a simple zoning bill, and I would like to ask Representative if Mary Hart is available to discuss it.
Yep, let's see, she signed up. Ms. Hart?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do you have video, Ms. Hart?
Maybe, let me try. There, okay,
There we
good.
go. We always like video just to make sure that's the person that we're talking to.
Sure, I understand.
Okay, so you're recognized to talk us through Board Bill 93.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. So Board Bill 93 is a board bill to rezone 4 parcels from the J Industrial District to the G Area Commercial District. The purpose of the rezoning is to develop a mixed-use retail residential development that will include, it's well, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. It is part of the St. Louis Midtown 353 redevelopment area. It will include 196 residential units, 65,000 square foot of ground floor retail, and 249 structured parking spaces, and an additional 141 retail parking spaces at grade. In addition to the 4 parcels that the developer owns and wants to rezone, also the Planning Commission is initiating the rezoning of 2 very small little parcels that are indicated on the map in the board bill that look like they were probably some leftover right-of-way. So the Planning Commission is initiating the rezoning of those from J to H, so that this whole little corner here will be rezoned for this future development.
Okay.
Any questions?
Let me see if the committee have any questions about this rezone. Alderwoman Davis, that's your bill, so we'll go to Cone. Alderman Cone.
No questions.
Okay, Alderman Coder.
No questions, Chairman. For the record, I'll be abstaining on this vote and any other votes related to this redevelopment project. My firm's involved.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Alderman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin. I have no questions. Alderwoman Davis, you recognize to close.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I ask the committee to give favorable approval to Board Bill 93 with a do pass recommendation, and I so move.
It's been moved to pass Board Bill 93 out of committee with a do pass recommendation.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Coder,
Abstain.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Chairman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin. 6 aye votes and 1 voted abstain.
By your vote, you passed Board Bill 93 out of committee with a do pass recommendation. The next set of board bills will be Board Bills 90, 91, and 92, sponsored by myself, pertaining to our zoning, planning commission, Board of Adjustments, just trying to make it more fluid. Alderman Cone and I both sit on planning commission. It's very insightful. Most of the developments, Chapter 99 has come through the planning commission to be recommended or not. All the zoning changes come to planning commission. And there's a lot of different posted requirements here and there. And we want to make it, as more efficient as possible than it is now. And so with that, we have Cecilia Deverek, if I pronounce her last name right. She's going to make presentations on these bills and be open to questions. Cecilia?
Good afternoon, HUD's committee. I am just going to go over Board Bill 90 for you real quick.
Okay, so let me put it before us. So Board Bill 90 is before the committee, sponsored by myself, and now Cecilia is recognized. Cecilia, tell us, who you represent and what before.
Thank you. Yes, I am the city planning executive with the Planning and Urban Design Agency, so under Don Rowe, for those of you who recognize us that way. I also oversee the Planning Commission, so we prepare all of their reports and resolutions and work very closely with Mary Hart Burton in the zoning office in reviewing zoning amendments, as well as other things, including Chapter 99 redevelopment lighting studies and historic preservation of varied options. Would you like me to move on to the?
Talk us through Board Bill 90.
Absolutely. So this amendment basically adds, it provides an alternative method to the way that we currently review zoning items. So you just heard one now. At the moment, we have the HUD's committee is covering two different aspects. It's covering both the legislative process and the state statute requirements. The state statute requirements require that the public hearing be posted 15 days ahead of time in a newspaper of general circulation and be posted on the site. So at the moment, that's why when something is introduced for a zoning item, it needs to wait some time before it can go onto a HUD's committee meeting. What we're proposing is that legislative process stay in place, but that the state statute requirements be met by a public hearing at the Planning Commission. So it would essentially have two public hearings. We are requesting that the staff have an additional 15 days added to the allotted time for us to review a petition. But I will note that it doesn't actually add any time for the petitioner, because instead of waiting between introduction and HUD's committee, you would be able to go from introduction to HUD's committee hearing from a Friday to a Tuesday. And we would be taking care of the posting requirements for state statute at the Planning Commission before you introduce the bill. So it doesn't actually add any time for the petitioner, but we are requesting that additional allotment just for us to be able to cover our bases and make sure that we can do the posting in adequate time. Our current allotment right now is 45 days, so that would take it to 60. Even though our current allotment is 45 days, our average is 26 days in order to review something at the Planning Commission. So we'll continue to use our due diligence and make sure that things go through as quickly as possible, and only go through that 60 days if it's absolutely necessary. So we would be having with this amendment two public hearings, one at the Planning Commission that meets state statute, a second at the Board of Aldermen meeting legislative requirements. And this accomplishes a couple of different things. One, it provides a public hearing in the evening for the public to come and testify, which is accessible to a lot of folks. We also would be following best practices. There's a lot of cities across the nation that are doing this sort of practice as well. Des Moines, Pittsburgh, Chicago, New York City, Kansas City, Cincinnati, etc. So we did do a lot of research and make sure that we were kind of following those best practice trends. And it would also eliminate confusion at the Board of Aldermen as to which bills require this additional posting and which do not. So we would be taking care of that, and you all would be able to use the legislative process the way you do with most other bills. And that summarizes it.
Okay, we do have a committee substitute. I'm going to move to put Board Bill 90 committee substitute before the committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Any objection to previous role for putting Board Bill 90 committee substitute before the committee?
Yeah, objection, Chairman. Sorry.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Coder.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Narayan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Chairman Boyd.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Okay, now what's before is Board Bill 90 committee substitute. Celia, go ahead and tell us the difference, and everyone should have a marked copy that was emailed and placed in the drive.
Yes, so at the bottom of the summary for the committee substitute, just summarizes it quickly for you. The committee substitute simply adds clarity that this new process does also apply to zoning text amendments. It was simply an oversight from staff to not include that.
Let me go around and ask the committee, have any questions on Board Bill 90 committee substitute? Alderwoman Davis.
No questions.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Coulter.
No questions.
Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions.
Okay, I move that Board Bill 90 committee substitute comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any
Previous
objection to
roll.
previous? Oh, thank you. No, hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 90 comes out of committee with due pass recommendation. Okay, next board bill before us. We also have a substitute, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the substitute before us, and then Cecilia can talk us through whatever those differences are. So I move to put Board Bill 91.
I don't believe there's a committee substitute for this one, just for 90 and 92.
90 and 92. Well, thank you. Go ahead, Cecilia. What's before us now is Board Bill 91.
Thank you. This is a minor amendment in the language. It's essentially for the Board of Adjustment to consider the comprehensive plan in its consideration of variances. So at the moment, the variances granted are, quote, in the spirit of the code when it's being observed, the public welfare is secured and substantial justice is done. So the language really just adds that it also should be in keeping with the city's comprehensive plan. It provides another level of insight for the Board of Adjustment to consider any element of the comprehensive plan, which includes our strategic land use plan and any neighborhood plans that would be amended as part of the comprehensive plan. And so we would be reviewing that with the Board of Adjustment agendas and just making sure and providing any feedback where there are any discrepancies between any adopted documents. So this is just that they would consider those in their decision-making processes. There's also other cities in Missouri that follow the same requirements, including St. Joseph's, Columbia, Springfield, and Maryland Heights as well, among others.
And Cecilia, tell us why this makes good sense.
So at the moment, they don't consider any of the adopted plans. As you know, we're going to start going through and doing more neighborhood planning, and those are going to be informed by residents and giving insight for the city as to what they do and don't want to see in their neighborhood. And so when we get insight from that, we really want to be able to respond and stay true to what we've adopted as what they want to see. And so variances are granted on a regular basis, and this would give us an opportunity to put their voice forward.
And that certainly puts us in harmony with the Board of Adjustment so that they're not approving variances in aldermen's neighborhoods that are inconsistent with their redevelopment plans or neighborhood plans. So, yes. All right, we'll see if there are any questions from the committee. Alderwoman Davis.
No questions.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Coulter.
No questions.
Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
Could she break it down in layman's language?
Okay.
Because I was hearing her, but then it was muffled, and so and if I'm off, tell me. What I'm getting out of it is we're trying to stop the Board of Adjustments from, if we pass something, to not pass or not have community involvement. Is that what I was hearing?
So Cecilia, give her a good example of how it works now and how it will work better. I think that would really be more clear.
Yeah, so the Board of Adjustment can grant variances for anything at the moment that is denied by the zoning code or the building commissioner. So if there's let's say, a commercial corridor that the community really wants to see revitalized. And there is a request from an applicant who's trying to build an industrial use or something with outdoor auto use or storage. Then if it's not in compliance with what the community wants to see, but because the community wants commercial, then we would provide the Board of Adjustment some insight into the adopted plan that talks about that commercial corridor wanting to be commercial and not introduce auto uses or outdoor storage and things like that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Alderwoman Boyd?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay, Alderman Muhammad,
I'm not interested. I don't want to go solo.
Alderwoman Martin,
I'm not interested. I already had that.
Alderman Ryan.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, somebody needs to be muted. Alderwoman Evans.
No questions.
Okay. Well, I recommend that we pass Board Bill 91 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
It's been moved to second. Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 91 comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Now, what's before us is Board Bill 92, and I would like to move to put Board Bill 92 committee substitute before the committee.
Second. Previous roll.
Been moved in second. Hearing no objection to previous roll. What's before the committee is Board Bill 92 committee substitute. Wait a minute, y'all. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't. Did I do it anyway? Oh, shoot. I did it anyway. Mr. Connolly was supposed to speak on Board Bill 93. Madam Clerk, you gotta help me out. I'm getting old.
I said, I'll help you out moving forward.
Is Mr. Connolly still with us? Mr. Connolly, I know he was. He was patiently waiting. And I was trying to make sure I did not miss him. And we went right past Board Bill 93 without me recognizing him. I'm not sure if he was still on at the time, but I want to publicly apologize to Mr. Connolly because he was set up as a speaker on Board Bill 93 and he was not recognized to speak. But if he'd like to speak next week, we'll do it in committee discussions, and I will give him an opportunity to state for the record his opposition. He is signed up to speak against Board Bill 93 for the record. Mr. Jerry Connolly from the 3800 block of Botanical signed up to speak against Board Bill 93. So, Mr. Clerk, if you want to reach out to him and invite him to come to the next HUD's hearing. We might have one next Tuesday, and he can, express his concerns about Board Bill 93. Okay. Sorry about that. Now let's go back to Board Bill 92. So what's before us now is Board Bill 92. Cecilia, it's up to you.
Thank you. So this last board bill is essentially giving the Planning Commission a bit more stature in its recommendations. So this request is to only allow an overturn of a Planning Commission negative recommendation with a 2/3 majority vote of the Board of Aldermen. So we don't do it very often, but every now and again, we do have issues that are not in compliance with plans. And so if a Planning Commission is considering plans and public testimony, we would like for them to have a little bit more stature and require a greater majority of overturning a planning commission negative recommendation.
Okay, so I want to speak to this. I've been on the planning commission, I think 3 years now. And I think there are times where the planning commission, some of the members may feel like it's just a rubber stamp, which isn't fair, because there are a lot of professional people that sit on the planning commission. They put a lot of thought in what's before the planning commission. And there are times when it doesn't matter if it's a negative recommendation, the alderman will just, pass it anyway. And that's pretty dismissive. And we have boards and commissions in place for a reason, and they don't just serve a particular ward, they serve the whole city. The planning department does a lot of work trying to get our neighborhood plans solidified within the citywide plan. And they deserve better than that. And they deserve a higher stature, as Cecilia would say. And so it doesn't mean that the board can't overturn. It just means that it will require, if you're the sponsor of that legislation, 2/3 of the members of the board present in order to overturn the recommendations of the planning commission. And the other thing that happens at the planning commission that drives me nuts is the blighting studies. There are too often that a board bill is introduced and passed before it even got to the planning commission. So when it comes to the planning commission, it really doesn't matter what we vote on, how we vote, because the ordinance, the law has already passed. And that's not fair. And so sitting on that commission has been very eye-opening for me. Just learning about all the hard work that they put into these board bills. If you've never sat on a planning commission, most of us have not, but if you've never been to a planning commission meeting, I want to invite you to look in on a planning commission meeting. Listen to the discussions. There have been times where a development was made a lot better because of the comments from the planning commission. And so I just wanted to kind of put that out there. I am just 1,000% in support of this. I know my colleague from the 25th Ward has been supportive as well. He sits on the planning commission, as I said, and he's been on there about as long as, I think we've been on there about the same time, or maybe he's been on there longer than I have. So just wanted to put that out there, and I will go ahead and take comments from members of the committee. Alderwoman Davis. I'll come back. Alderman Cone. Alderman Coder.
No questions.
Alderman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions.
Alderwoman Davis.
No questions.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Martin. Okay, I move that Board Bill 9. Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify the committee substitute.
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
That's okay. I just wanted to let you all know that the committee substitute, similar to the last substitute, really is a clarification on our part. It clarifies language to apply to any negative recommendation of the Planning Commission. I was previously on staff's error set of only for zoning amendments, but it is intended for all recommendations. Thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you for the clarification. And I'll ask if after that clarification, any member of the committee, just raise your hand if you want to speak on that. Okay, seeing none, I move that Board Bill 92 committee substitute comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second, previous roll.
It's been moved in second. Hearing no objection, previous roll. Board Bill 92 committee substitute comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Okay, now we'll move down to committee discussions. Board Bill 110 was referred to us yesterday. It was, there was a public notice, so it's been properly published. And in the notification, we were to have public hearing today. So this will be the official public hearing, but we will not vote on Board Bill 110 today. So go back to the sponsor. Board Bill 110 is sponsored by who?
Alderwoman Davis.
Alderwoman Davis. Thank you. Alderwoman Davis, you're recognized on Board Bill 110.
Thank you very much. Board Bill 110 supports a development that we have passed some other legislation on previously with zoning. I would like to have Rob speak on the specifics of it, if you don't mind, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, before Rob speaks, who is Rob?
Rob
Alderwoman.
Preston.
Huh?
Rob Preston. Rob Preston.
Okay, is he the developer?
I'm the
No.
counsel for the developer.
Council.
Okay, so Rob, I need to swear you in then. Want to make sure you went. I didn't catch your name or remember your name until just now. Want to make sure you weren't part of the staff. That way I wouldn't have to swear you in. So Rob, do you have video?
I have video capability, but I don't think I'm authorized to grace your screens.
Okay.
It's probably for the better.
Okay.
Had a haircut in some time.
Okay. So Rob, do you promise to swear or affirm that your testimony be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and proceed, Rob.
Well, thank you. The Board Bill 110, which we will discuss at a future meeting, is a bill for the creation of a community improvement district to help generate finances for the zoning project that you considered earlier. That is the one for the mixed use building with the retail and apartment units in the parking. This bill also asks for a blighting designation of that district just to allow some of the SID revenues to be used for the purposes of demolishing the existing blighting buildings on the structure or within the district. And then most of the funds will be used to put in infrastructure. You'll note that the shape of the district is a little bit bizarre, almost like an octopus, because it follows some public rights of ways and alleys, because the developer will be reestablishing the street grid on Papin and rebuilding some of the alleys and putting in a signalized interchange at Grant. The Community Improvement District Act requires us to hold a public hearing before the district is formed. So in accordance with the act, we sent certified notices to all the owners within the district. There are two, St. Louis University and an entity owned by Michael Hamburg, the developer, who's online right now. And we published notice in the Daily Record the prior 2 weeks. So due to the scheduling snafu that we weren't able to join the agenda today, we still wanted to honor our commitment to the community to have our public hearing and get it open, but then keep the public hearing open until the next available meeting of this committee, so that folks would have just a expanded opportunity to participate in this hearing. The rule, as I understand it from my learned colleague, Mark Spikerman, is that we should leave the commit, we should continue it to a time and date certain. So we'll need to establish the date of the next meeting and then continue to that date.
Okay. Let me see if members of the committee have any questions about Board Bill 100. Alderman Cone. Alderman Coulter.
No questions, Chairman. Similar to the zoning bill earlier, I will be abstaining on this. Mr. Preston's my law partner at Spencer Fane.
Okay. Alderman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Martin. Alderman Wright.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions.
Okay. And we will continue it until, let's see, Madam Clerk, so we'll schedule a meeting for next Tuesday, October the 19th at 11 a.m. And
Scholar.
I'm sorry.
We're a gentleman and a scholar.
Oh, thank you. Sometime.
I'm sorry, Chairman. That was Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Correct.
Thank you.
No, 9 a.m. I'm sorry. Let's do 9 a.m.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to move this one from 9 to 11. So Tuesdays
Chairman
our yes.
On the 19th, Transportation and Commerce has a 9 a.m. as well that I know Shane called at the same time there, just so that you're aware.
Okay. Well, thank you. So let's do it at 11 then, because I'm on transportation as well. Thank you for that, Alderman Ryan. So 11 a.m., Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry. October the 19th.
11 a.m.
At 11 a.m. I'm showing that's when I'm showing neighborhood development.
Okay. I don't think we'll have to make it work. We're gonna do 11 a.m.
Sounds good.
Okay. I don't have any questions right now on 100. Also, we can also hear, again, from the public, if people want to come back and testify on 100. But today was just, public testimony, public comment. Okay, so that's that. I want to also talk, just on committee discussions, I want to kind of institute a new rule. If you're not going to have video, then you're not going to speak. Every member of the committee, if you are speaking on a board bill, you must have video. If you're voting, we should be able to see your face. I'm not taking any more testimony from anybody who doesn't have video. So if your job doesn't allow you to have video, I'm not talking to anybody from the street department, any department. I know the street department, they don't have videos. Well, we need to update them. We've been doing Zoom for 1.5 years easily, and it doesn't make sense that every department in City Hall doesn't have video capabilities. And I don't care if the mayor's office needs to buy them, iPads or smartphones that really don't talk, but you can get on the internet. But that's not fair. It's not fair for the public, and there's no transparency in that. We don't really know who is speaking. I know who Rob Preston is. I know his voice. So with certainly, pretty much, I can say that was Rob Preston that was talking. But the members of the public don't know different people. And they have a right to see somebody's face when they're testifying. And the last thing that we want to have is somebody testifying saying their name is Jim Brown and their name really is Terry Kruger. So we don't want to get into all of that stuff. And I know a lot of my colleagues are real big in transparency, and I just think that would help us better. So I would hope the mayor's office works with us as it relates to different departments that have to come and testify. Most of them have it, but some of them don't. That we need to start making sure that, every department, or at least put them in a space where they can testify because it actually have video and audio. Mm-hmm. Anybody have any objections to that? Okay, thank you. We're all in agreement with that. Looks like all aldermen were here today. For some reason, it seemed like it's been a long morning, you guys. And with that, I am going to adjourn the Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee.